Hey, welcome to Let's Talk Nation. I'm your man, Rod Love, and we have none other than the General, Attorney Greg Jackson.
Once
in the
again, it's
studio.
on. Once again, it's on, Brother Love. Hey, you know how we get this thing started, man. How's this weekend for you?
Man, this weekend was great, Greg. Had a good time, man. Attended a nice wedding, ate some good food. Man, I'm ready to go, man. What about you?
Oh man, this weekend was it was all right. It was all right. I can't even remember.
They go by
I
so
don't
fast, man.
even remember what I did. So, but yeah, I'm assuming it was good.
No photography this weekend?
No, not this weekend, man. I try to alternate
Okay.
and do it every other weekend because otherwise it'll consume a lot of my time. But I will be to all of our Let's Talk listeners, Let's Talk Nation listeners in Duval.
Okay.
I will be in Duval County on Saturday for a photo shoot at Luxury Point.
Oh, wow.
So I have a product shoot with the model over there, and get over there, get back, and get it published. See what we got.
Man, Greg, you be getting published, and man, I can't thank you enough, man, for what you did with my daughter. Got it published in 2-3 magazines, and then she made the cover.
Yeah. Listen, that well worth it.
Man,
well worth it, man. Yeah, she listen. I told you she came prepared to work, and I tell a lot of models that I work with, it's not just enough to be able to stand in front of a camera. You have to come and be able to work, follow directions, and get into that vibe of what it is to create. Because you create, man.
Well, when you say follow directions, I gotta attest to that because attorney, Mr. Photographer Extraordinaire, Greg Jackson, did a family shoot for me and my family, and I think I was the hard head because Greg was telling us what to do. But man, those pictures, man, that photography, I minimize it when I call them pictures because, man, that was a work of art that you did, brother.
No, man, I appreciate it, man. But listen, I appreciate you and your family for coming out and letting me capture those moments, man.
Hey, how do people get a hold of you, man, for the photography? Man, you just a doggone, what do they call it, a jack of all trades?
A Renaissance man. That's what we're going to call it tonight. We're going to give it a good name. We're going to give it no jack of all trades.
A Renaissance man.
I'm a Renaissance man.
But how do people get a hold of you if they have any personal injury engagement and they need a good attorney?
So, listen, if someone wants to talk about a case that they may potentially have or if something has happened where a loved one needs to be looked out for, they can reach me at 407-564-6604. Again, that's 407-564-6604. And that's to reach me to talk, legal cases, or if you had an injury or something like that, I'd be more than happy to help you out. So.
Okay, now you got to follow up and talk about how do they get a hold of you for the photography, brother.
Now that's a whole nother issue. Now, that's a whole lot. That's more difficult to get me on that. Now.
That's more difficult.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. But they can just go to. I have an Instagram page. It's G_Allen_photography. They can check my stuff out there. They can send me a message there, or they can go to my wonderful website that Doc Polite helped me to set up, and that is www.gallenphotography.com. And just come and hang out with me a little bit.
Greg, I'm gonna ask you to put a pin in this. Can you tell folk what we have coming up as it relates to the piece on professional headshots and a video bio that'll be no longer than about 2.5, maybe 3 minutes?
Listen, for a lot of folks, they're trying to up their game on being professional, looking professional, on branding themselves. Mm-hmm. And one of the most important things about branding yourself is creating an image that other people can attach themselves to or that other people can relate to. And so I don't understand why it is that more people aren't taking photographs to place on their Instagram page, their social media page, their websites, and not just with your phone. Now, don't get me wrong, iPhones and Androids and things, they take good pictures. Mm-hmm. But when you're talking about a quality photograph that you can use, you can put on media, you can put on different things like that, you have to get a professional headshot. There's no way around it. And so Let's Talk Nation, in doing our part to support small businesses and to help small businesses and individuals, not just small businesses, but individuals to brand themselves. We're going to be starting a program where we're going to bring in a certain number of people on the weekend. We're setting up a Let's Talk Nation studio for this purposes, and we're going to take headshots. That's first and foremost. Get you some headshots to put onto your website, onto your page, and then we're also going to do a 1-minute video allowing you to talk about your business and what it is that you do, or talk about yourself and what it is that you do. And one of the perfect things that I was thinking about and that we were talking about, are small business owners who are trying to get the message out and to be able to take a video and their picture and put it on their Instagram page, their Facebook page, whatever it may be, and just look and have a professional air about themselves.
So Greg, and I'm glad you brought that up. You know what is it? The elevator speech.
Oh, of course.
This would help people fine tune that because you don't get a long dissertation when you get that opportunity, and so you got to hit it, and move on it.
Listen, man, elevator speech said in 30 seconds or less. Some people say a minute, but if you can't tell people what you are about in 30 seconds, you already lost them.
Man, well, hey, Greg, that just reminds me. Maybe we need to bring somebody in that can help people with that elevator speech too.
I mean, there are organizations that are geared towards, helping people to better discuss who they are, to brand themselves. And as a matter of fact, my good friend Hugh Pinto, also one of my fraternity brothers, shout out to Alpha Alpha. But he is the president of the National Sales Network.
Okay.
And the National Sales Network is made up of individuals who are in the profession, in the sales profession. But one of the most important things is them being able to talk about themselves, talk about a product, so that they can, and people think that sell is a bad word. Sell is not a bad word. Sell is a way to get products from one place to the next, or one concept from one place to the next. And so this network that my good friend is president of pulls together individuals where like-minded persons inside of corporate America with their own businesses can discuss the best way to brand or to sell.
You're right.
So
you're right. Well, tell you what, we look forward to moving in that direction. And Greg, I don't know how we're going to extend the invitation, but we'll figure whether it's on our Facebook page or however we move on it. But Greg, I don't know if you noticed this. Our executive producer is just showing off tonight, man. Do you see that?
I see him, man. I got the cameras going from one place to the
Yes,
next. I see him, man. I see you, Doc.
and so we also need to let folk know that LTN Network, if you have a podcast or you wanted to do a podcast, man, this facility is top shelf now. I mean, if I say so ourselves, we built something here.
Yeah, and listen, and here's the other thing too, for individuals who want to do a podcast and may not have ever done a podcast and want to kind of ease themselves into it. I mean, Brother Love or myself, we're more than happy to sit in with you, maybe get you started with the practice run, or even, sit down with you on your show and just, help you to get a feel for the audience and how you get things done. So, we're not just going to turn you loose and leave you to your own devices. We're even willing to mentor and to help you to build your own podcast so that you can be rich and famous one day.
Hey, and in order to reach, I like that part.
Yeah.
You can reach us at 407-494-2406. Leave a message and we will circle back to you. But Brother Jackson, hey man, it's a lot going on in the world right now, man. And I saw something that took place in Washington, D.C.
Well, listen, man, we talking about branding.
Okay.
And we got this one person who has branded him or herself as a candidate for the Republican nod to become the Republican candidate for the presidency. And that is none other than Nikki Haley. And over the past several weeks or the past month or so, Nikki Haley has branded herself as such, and it has not taken, Brother Love.
Uh-huh.
People just ain't buying what she's selling. She needs to go to see the National Sales Network to get some insight on how to sell whatever it is she's trying to sell. But for some reason, Brother Love, Washington, D.C. picked up the Kool-Aid, drank from the bottle, and they allowed Nikki Haley to win her first primary.
Greg, was it a landslide? Greg, I didn't even pay any attention to it.
Listen,
man.
Nobody even knew that Washington, D.C. had a primary. And so that's the one thing. But the other thing, too, and listen, and hear me when I say this, because I kind of say tongue-in-cheek that Nikki Haley won the Republican primary in Washington, D.C. But what this really is, Brother Love, believe it or not, this is the first time that a female has won a Republican primary. For the GOP. So, I mean, all jokes aside, big ups.
History.
Big ups to Nikki Haley. She has stayed in this race. She said that she was not getting out, that she was going to give Trump everything that he can handle or until her campaign couldn't last any longer. And tomorrow is going to be the telltale sign of what's going to happen with Nikki Haley's campaign, because tomorrow is, Super Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And so if Nikki Haley does not do well in Super Tuesday, obviously she has no path to victory to get the nomination. But is she going to stick it out to become the next? Who is it? Who is the Cheney lady? the Cheney lady.
I know who you're talking about. I know
You know what I'm talking
Liz.
about. Yeah, Liz Cheney.
Cheney.
Yeah, is she going to stick it out and become the next Liz Cheney to just try to be a disruptor? Or is she going to step aside and do what her oath has asked her to do with the Republican Party and support Donald Trump? Now, the interesting thing is that I've heard her say, I've heard that she said that she's not going to, that she doesn't feel that she is bound by that oath to support the Republican nominee. So we'll see. We'll see.
Going to be very interesting. Greg, even on that note, wasn't there a ruling? Did it come out today? Supreme Court ruling regarding what state that was it Colorado?
It's Colorado. Well, it's actually a couple of different states, but Colorado was the main state, and it's going to be a lot of people mad, Brother Love. All right, this is going to be a lot of people mad. And so, there were a number of people who were elated, jumping up and down and clicking their heels when they found out that Donald Trump was not going to be on the ballot in Colorado. And basically it was a Colorado Supreme Court that removed Donald Trump from the ballot based on the 14th Amendment. All right. And so based on that, Donald Trump's name was not to be placed on the ballot. There were a couple other states that followed that same logic based on the 14th Amendment and basically said that either Donald Trump was not going to be on the ballot or they removed him from the ballot. As a matter of fact, in Nevada, there was actually a primary that took place, albeit they do caucuses, in Nevada, but there was a primary in Nevada where Donald Trump wasn't on the ballot and Nikki Haley still lost, but we're not going to deal with that anymore. And so based on the 14th Amendment, they were removing this name, the insurrection clause of the Constitution. And so the U.S. Supreme Court today, Brother Love, indicated that no state could remove a presidential candidate from the ballot based on the 14th Amendment, or specifically, specific in this case, based on the 14th Amendment. Now, I think what the courts was really saying is that no state in a federal election should be permitted to, or is permitted to, remove a federal candidate from the ballot.
So you just answered the question that I was going to ask you for some of the folk that's like me, that we don't know what impact the Supreme Court had. So basically, that ruling is blanketed for the United States now.
Yeah. Yeah. And so for those, for those states that have indicated that they were going to remove Donald Trump from the ballot based on the 14th Amendment, they can no longer do that. And so, and this is the thing that was interesting to me, Brother Love, and it was somewhat baffling to me. I'm going to tell you this, because even I myself, for the first time in a long time, Brother Love, I had to go to the dictionary and I had to look up once again, what does the word unanimous mean? You understand what I'm saying? I said, now wait a minute, because there's a lot of folks that said, Donald Trump, he shouldn't be on the ballot because, he's an insurrectionist, which I didn't. When I read the Constitution, when I read what it said, it did not support what Colorado did. And I think I've said this from the beginning. I honestly and truly think I've said this from the beginning. And check the tapes if y'all don't. I got receipts. So check the tapes if y'all don't believe. But I believe I said from the beginning that this is not considered insurrection. And so a lot of individuals were saying, this is a conservative Supreme Court, And so I had to go back and look, because I was like, well, wait a minute. Was it a 5-4 ruling? Was it a 6-3 ruling? Were there any holdouts? Were there any dissenting opinions? Dissenting meaning someone who didn't agree with the opinion that came out. And it was a unanimous decision, meaning that every single justice, all 9 justices, agreed that Donald Trump should not be removed from the ballot. Now, when we talk about every single justice, we're not just talking about our good friend, Clarence Thomas, who everyone derives. We're not just talking about Kavanaugh. We're not just talking about Gorsuch. We're not just talking about Coney Barry. We're not just talking about Roberts. But we're talking about, we're talking about Sotomayor. We're talking about, Jackson Brown. We're talking about every single one of the justices, to include the more liberal-minded justices on the court.
You used the word unanimous.
Yeah.
So
yeah, go look it up again. I had to go look it up. I was confused. I said, wait a minute, because I know somebody gonna say, well, that wasn't the whole Supreme Court. It's unanimous.
Everybody, yeah. But Greg, I mean, when you talked about the insurrection piece and the fact that it, by what definition insurrection, but Greg, I think you have the majority of the people, Greg, that are sitting back saying, in a federal election for president, the country should speak.
Absolutely, and that is what the U.S. Supreme Court is saying.
Well, so that's settled now. That's done.
It's settled law. But the Supreme Court can revisit this issue at a later time if it is brought up, if it becomes an issue again, kind of like Roe v. Wade, where they revisited the issue, some years in the future to come, or if another person that is running for president is involved in a conflict or whatever you want to call it, it may come up again. And it may be revisited by a different set of justices. But as it stands right now, this U.S. Supreme Court has stated, and dare I say, has stated very strongly that neither Colorado nor any other state can remove Donald Trump from the presidential ballot based on the 14th Amendment.
Greg, you just said something here, and I guess you don't have to have a law degree to understand this aspect, but I'm gonna throw this out anyway.
Right.
I had one of my friends, probably a month ago, that said, "Man, the Colorado Supreme Court ruled," and I said, "You are mentioning the Colorado Supreme Court. So can you break this down so that people understand what the Supreme Court of the United States means?"
So the Colorado Supreme Court is the final arbiter of matters dealing specifically with states' issues in that particular state. And every single state has a Supreme Court or a Superior Court, a court that is the final arbiter over issues that take place. So you have a lower court, which is a trial court, where it's heard by a single judge. Then you have an appellate court or an appeals type court where it's heard by a panel of judges, 3 judges or more. But a panel of judges will hear something that is that may be deemed inappropriate or questionable by the lower court. And then if the panel, the 3-judge panel or the appellate court, if they don't get it right, then it goes up to the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court, and it's 7 justices here in the state of Florida or whatever the number is in the individual state to make a decision that is going to be binding across that particular state. Now, that's for state issues. When it comes to federal issues, things that deal with issues that cross states' lines, that are going to affect more than just one state, then it becomes a federal issue. And federal issues rule what takes place as a continuum across the entire United States. So while Colorado may make a ruling that is binding upon Colorado's courts, the U.S. Supreme Court, its decisions is binding upon the states, all states, as it relates to federal issues. And in this particular case, a federal issue dealing with a presidential candidate being removed from a ballot is a federal issue where they can reverse and prevent any states from affecting a federal issue.
I told y'all, it's a smart brother over here. If you need a good attorney, contact attorney Greg Jackson. Hey, man, Greg, thank you for that, man. But, boy, we got some other great things that are taking place. Oh, I see our executive producer. Is that new?
No, that just ain't switched yet.
Oh,
you're talking about just the banner?
Yeah, man.
That's a new banner.
He be putting in some work.
Yeah, no, that's a new banner.
But Greg, man, hey, you know what? And I'm gonna make a hard transition, but man, progressive seniors.
So listen, man, that's a hard turn, man. Now if we was on a go-kart and you made that turn, we would have
somebody fall out.
You made that turn right there. Oh no, but like we was on a golf cart. You know what I'm saying?
Flip over, Greg?
Yeah, man, you made that turn like that, we would have flipped over, man. That's a hard turn.
As much as they've supported us, man, we got to throw that support right back.
So listen, I don't know if anyone knows about the Apopka Progressive Seniors, but the Apopka Progressive Seniors is a group of individuals and out of Apopka, but they actually involve, dare I say, seniors, some of our elder spokesmen and women across Central Florida, where they come together and they do different things. They have trips and they fellowship and they talk and they just stay engaged and involved in the community. And they stay engaged and involved whether you're running for political office or if there's an issue taking place in the community, specifically as it relates to our senior population. And so several years ago, they started having what is known as the Apopka Progressive Senior Prom. And this was an event where the members of the Apopka Progressive Seniors came together and they put on a prom event. And so you dress to the nines, you put on your best dress, you put on your tuxedo, and you come out and you have a nice dinner, you just have a nice time. Now, why they did this part, Brother Love, I don't know. But back in like 2016, 2017, they asked me to start emceeing the Apopka Progressive Senior
They knew what they were doing. They knew what
Senior
they were
Prom.
doing.
And so, every year from 2016 until 2020, I was the MC for the Apopka Progressive Senior Prom. And then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, this big event that brought in between 300 and 400 people every single year, my parents would come down and go to it. They would stay over and just have a good time. It just stopped. And so from 2020 or 2021 until this year, the Apopka Progressive Senior Prom was on hold. Well, Brother Love, I'm happy to announce and I'm pleased to announce that they are making a triumphant return, and the Apopka Progressive Senior Prom will be back on May 4th, 2024.
Man. And Greg, man, I got to tell you, man, I remember I went to one of them, Greg, 300, 400 people there.
Yeah, 400 folks.
Hey, and they were getting out on the floor jamming.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm not gonna laugh about it. I might smile a little bit. But the first senior prom that I went to, Brother Love, the very first one, they were out there dancing so hard, somebody had a heart attack. Listen, I know you're laughing, but I'm being for real. Somebody had a heart attack. I'm talking about these progressive seniors are getting down.
Man.
I mean, listen, it's serious business now.
Man. Hey, but you know what, Greg, man? And I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. Miss Rose.
Miss Rose Martin, yeah.
Man.
Miss Rose Morris. I'm sorry, Miss Rose Morris.
She
Yeah.
is incredible.
It most certainly is. But listen, when you mention Miss Rose Morris, I can't, and I can't let us pass by without mentioning my second mom, Miss Earlene.
Okay.
Miss Earlene Watkins.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like a second mom to me. She's the one that always keeps me engaged and involved. As a matter of fact, she called me. She's like, "Greg, we haven't seen your prom this year. You go. Can I tell him you're going to MC?" So she always keeps me engaged and involved.
I know she didn't ask you. She told you.
Pretty much. But no, I love Miss Earlene, and I
Greg,
appreciate her for that.
Give everybody the date for the senior prom again.
So listen, it's going to be on May 4th, 2024. Now, I forget the date wrong. We have some time for me to correct it, but I believe it's May 4th of 2024. I better know the date because I'm supposed to be there. And it's going to be this year. But love, in years past, it has been at the Hilton. In Altamont Springs here in Central Florida. People from all over Florida and some parts of the world, some parts of the states they come through. But this year they're going to have it in the great city of Apopka at the VFW.
Oh, okay.
And so, projected to have, over 200 folks that are going to be a part of it, dinner,
How will folks
music.
get tickets? You know?
So listen, yeah, I mean, so reach out to Let's Talk Nation. We can
Okay.
get them in touch with people to buy tickets. But I think there's only 1 week left to purchase tickets. So if you're going to get your tickets, you better reach out to us soon. Let's Talk Nation has a table. And so we have like maybe 1 or 2 seats that we might
Those
be able to
tickets
let
go
people.
fast,
Those
too,
tickets
Greg.
go by real fast, Brother Love. They go by real fast. So, but yeah, that's our part for that.
That's our part for that.
Yeah.
Hey, Greg, now something that everybody's been talking about, and I mean we've been kind of sprinkling information in as we can.
Yeah.
But Greg, man, what's the update with Fannie Willis?
Woo. So yeah, this story has been brewing for about 2 months now, Brother Love. And I think we told our listeners last week that, we've been watching the story and we kind of stayed away from it for a little bit. But this story became too big to ignore.
Yeah.
And, in particular, because it's involving Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? All things Trump. You're talking about Trump with, the document retention thing that he's going to court for. You talk about Trump with the $500 million verdict that he was slapped with just last week. You talk about Trump with regards to with the other thing he has that's going on. I don't know if you remember this, but from the standpoint of whether or not a president can assert immunity, which we'll talk a little bit about that. But this is another thing dealing with Trump and what took place in the state of Georgia, where they're asserting that Donald Trump called, the governor or either the supervisor of elections or Secretary of State in Georgia, said, "Hey, you got to find me some votes." And they equated that to Donald Trump trying to steal the election or election interference. And so, Fannie Willis was able to get a grand jury to indict Trump. And so him and 17 other people have been preparing to go to trial on this election interference issue. So that was a story in and of itself. It was a big story. But then, Brother Love, interestingly, some kind of way, it came out, or it was alleged, that Fannie Willis was having an illicit affair with the special prosecutor that she had appointed. Now, it shouldn't have been a problem, Brother Love, because there are people who, well, it was a problem because he was married. So that's the word they say. It was a problem because he was married and he was going through a divorce, and it came out in his divorce paperwork. Now, it shouldn't be a problem because there are people who are married who handle cases all the time. That's not an issue. That's not a problem. Now, the problem is because, number one, he was married, and this was them having an affair. But then number two is that initially she said that there was no truth behind it. And all of this time, she went to black churches and got the black churches to get behind her and say that this was because she was black and all these other things. But no, it's because it was true. And the reason why we now know that it's true, Brother Love, is because last week at the final hearing on the disqualification of Fani Willis to determine if she or her department can continue prosecuting Trump and the 17 other individuals, we found out that the way that Miss Merchant, who was the lead person who brought this forward about Fani Willis having an affair and all these other things, was actually by Nathan Wade's former law partner, who's an African-American male.
This is, I saw this. This is the guy who's supposed to be the star witness, right?
He was the star witness, Brother Love.
Okay.
And not only was he the star witness, but his text messages that he sent to Miss Merchant, who was the person that is leading this whole thing, were key and essential evidence used to show where it is that it came that Nathan Wade and Fani Willis were having an affair before she even hired him to become special counsel. Now, that's a problem because first and foremost, it has come out that Nathan Wade has never prosecuted or handled a RICO case or a case like this ever in his life. It's also an issue because it has come out that there were 3 law firms that were hired as special counsel, and Nathan Wade has been paid more than any of the law firms.
To the tune of?
Listen, so if we go by the numbers, one firm was paid $70,000. Another firm was paid $90,000. Nathan Wade has been paid onwards or upwards of $650,000, and it's believed now that it's up over $700,000 that he has been paid to do this work that he's never done before. Now, the other problem is that apparently during this time after she hired him and all of this money is going out, they're going on elaborate trips that he's paying for, and she now says that she paid him back in cash, but there's no trail to show where she paid him back.
So one of the questions, Greg, that everybody's asking, what can come of this? What may come of? I mean, and I know it's, that's a broad question for you, but what are some of the consequences? Can the court find that it's nothing there? Can the courts come back and find, this is inappropriate, the way to conduct business as a government entity? I mean, what's some of the things that could happen?
So so there are a couple of things that can happen inside of court and outside of court. Inside of court, Brother Love, I believe that it's going to be very difficult for the judge to not find that there's a conflict of interest in this case. When Fani Willis, when she became a public officer, a public official, she has to sign a disclosure document every single year. I mean, heck, you were a county commissioner, you had to sign the same document. I was on a board for Orange County. I had to sign the same document, the disclosure documents. And that disclosure documents, particularly for the state of Georgia, says that you have not accepted any gifts of $100 or more. All right. Now, these trips that Fani Willis was taking with Nathan Wade with thousands upon thousands of dollars. Now, that's the first problem right there. And she never reported it. Now, she said that as a public official and an officer of the court that she paid him back, but there are no receipts to show that she paid him back. So it appears that she has provided false statements under oath. And so from that standpoint, I think that, again, it's going to be very difficult for the judge to not find that there's a conflict of interest and that Fani Willis, at the very least, has misrepresented herself to the courts as well as Nathan Wade. Also, the outside of what's taking place in these proceedings, Nathan Wade did an affidavit in his divorce case, where he said that he never went on any trips, never spent any money on anyone else, and now it's coming out in this case that he did. So now that is fraud on the court, potentially, in that other case. The other thing, too, Brother Love, is that when you have 2 officers of the court who may have testified untruthfully under oath, that is an ethical issue and a potentially an ethical violation. As a matter of fact, I believe that there is a committee in Georgia that is now investigating Fani Willis for unethical behavior. And the U.S. Congress has subpoenaed the records as well to determine if she has misused funds as a part of her office or being in office in the state of Georgia.
That's Doc. I don't know. We're not gonna be able to answer that. So Doc can
You
turn
gotta
that
call
off.
with the cell phone. But the other thing too, though, Brother Love. So Terrence Bradley, who was the star witness, so to speak, I think he has some problems. And the problems that he has is that, like I said, the information that Ms. Merchant had to file a motion against Fani Willis, against her office, and against Nathan Wade came from Terrence Bradley. Now, under oath, he's saying that he doesn't know, he doesn't recall. And he's also saying, oh, I speculated. I don't know for sure. But in the text messages, he was clear about when it is that that Nathan Wade and Fani Willis started their affair, which was at least in 2019. He was the one that provided information to say that, hey, look, they were even staying together. He was staying at her house and all these other things. And so I think that he too now has issues and problems with his testimony under oath. So this is a bigger issue that has come from a simple question of, was Fani Willis and Nathan Wade having an affair during the time period that they were prosecuting or investigating Trump? The answer should have been an easy question of, yes, we're dating, we're in a relationship, and leave it at that. But they have put some things in place that make that answer a lot more, it makes it more difficult to respond to now.
So Greg, the other part of all of the conversation that we're having right now too is just with those findings alone, Greg, if you have to start over, well, automatically it's going to definitely have to be after the election then, right?
So what'll happen is, so if the judge, and I believe the judge will, but if the judge removes this case or takes or disqualifies Fani Willis, Nathan Wade, and Fani Willis's officers from this case, then it can be referred to a DA's office in some other part of the state of Georgia. Now, if the state of Georgia is anything like the state of Florida, remember what happened here in the great state of Florida when we had Aramis Ayala, who was the state attorney, who was supposed to be prosecuting the Markeith Lloyd case. And she basically said that she was not going to prosecute any death penalty cases. They took that case from Orange County, which had a liberal state attorney at the time, and they removed it to Brad King in Lake County, who is a more conservative state attorney. So what may potentially happen is the case will be moved and removed to another district inside of Georgia that is not as liberal as Fulton County. And so if it's not, then they may take a look at it and they may dismiss the entire case. So that's what I don't think the judge is going to automatically say, hey, I'm disqualifying Miss Willis, Mr. Wade and her office. I don't think he's going to say that ends this case. I think he's going to say, I'm disqualifying them and I'm going to allow the governor to appoint another office to oversee this case. And that other office may take a look at it and dismiss the whole thing.
Greg, and here's the last part, man, and I caught like bits and pieces of it. I was trying to keep up with it. But when they were, I don't know, when they were doing closing arguments or something for this, she wasn't required to be there, but she showed, you know anything about that? She showed up.
You mean on Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, she just wanted to listen. She wanted to see what was going on. And she looked none too pleased, which... Listen, the case that has been built against her and Nathan Wade and the information that has come out against her and Nathan Wade is very damaging. As I sat there and I listened to it as an attorney and I, taking everything else off of the table. Like a lot, like when she went to the churches, oh, this is them persecuting me because I'm black. When you take that away and say, okay, no matter who it is that they're talking about, is this wrong? And when you look at it from that lens, it doesn't matter if Fani Willis is black. It doesn't matter if Nathan Wade is black. If you had any district attorney who secretly was dating someone that they hired into their office and paid hundreds of thousands of dollars more than they paid anyone else, and that person is not qualified, something needs to be done. That's the bigger issue. So, I'm not buying this, or they're doing this because I'm black. No, they're doing it because you all got caught doing something wrong. And, it also came out that Merchant, Brother Love, was also a strong supporter of Nathan Wade before this even happened. In 2016, when he was running for judge, she actually campaigned for him.
Oh, see, didn't hit up. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like, she didn't respect the guy, didn't like the guy. And as a matter of fact, Timothy Bradley even bigged her up too. It's like, listen, you're a great attorney. Go be amazing. When he was reviewing the document, the pleading to file against his former law partner. This is, this story got real interesting real quick.
So it's almost like a to be continued.
Yeah, for another 2 weeks, because the judge has indicated that he will make a ruling within 2 weeks of last Friday. So we'll see.
Okay, doesn't sound like
We'll
it's
see.
going. Don't sound like it's going in Miss Willis' favor right now.
It doesn't, but listen, stranger things have happened. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, no one knew that the Supreme Court would come back with a unanimous decision in favor of Donald Trump.
And you said you had to go. You said you had to go to the
I
dictionary.
had to check myself. I said, wait a minute, unanimous means everybody, right? I had to double check it, and that's what it means. But love means everybody.
Greg, something that, and I will say that you called this. You called this before it happened. When it talks about the social media bill.
Yeah.
So, man, update everybody, because it was dealing with prohibiting kids, 16 and
16
younger?
and younger, yeah, from being able to open or to start social media accounts on certain platforms. They would not have been permitted to open accounts, and their accounts would have been terminated.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was passed by the Florida House and Senate. And so, Governor DeSantis took a look at it, and there were other states that had looked at the same issue and determined that it was not constitutional. And so Governor DeSantis, and I believe it is the absolute correct move, took a look at this and said, this law, I can't sign this law. So he vetoed the bill. He's not going to sign it. But, someone said this would be like, telling a person that's 16 years old that, you can't read a newspaper. That they're kids, but they have constitutional rights just like everyone else. And I think to prohibit them from being able to go on to social media sites and different things like that is a constitutional issue. Now, the bigger question is, what are parents going to do to ensure that their kids aren't doing things on social media that's harmful to them or harmful to other people? That's the bigger question. I don't think government should be stepping in the place of parents in this particular circumstance, where parents should be watching over what their kids do. And in particular, Brother Love, we talked about this, where predators are literally on social media waiting to pounce on, these young kids.
Hey, not to mention, Greg, and I think we talked about this last week, where Orlando, Orange County ranks 3rd in the country for human trafficking.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with, we are an area where a lot of tourists come through. And so it's not unusual to see someone with a lot of kids or a bus full of people or whatever, because we're used to seeing, that type of scene in this area. And a lot of people just come here just in general. And so, this is a hotbed, unfortunately, area for, sex trafficking, for human trafficking and things of that nature that needs to be looked out for. But again, I say, parents need to do a better job of policing, air quotes, what their children are doing on social media, who they're communicating with, who they're talking to, and making sure that no predators are preying on their kids.
Right.
I think, I don't know if it was you or somebody else that said that, when your kids get home, you take their phone and sit on the table. You have to be brave enough as a parent to do that. And I think that a lot of times, and we talked about this in a number of different contexts, but I think a lot of times, parents are more concerned about being their kids' friends than their parents.
Yeah.
And a friend will let you stay on social media all night long and talk to anybody and do things like that. Your parent won't. And so, like I said, I think Governor DeSantis did the right thing, because it should be the parent that says, hey, you shouldn't be on this site. It should be the parents that say, hey, you should not be communicating with this person, or let me see your phone and see who this is that's trying to talk to you, my 12 or 13-year-old child.
You're right. But then, and the other part, Greg, and this is just something that me and my wife employed before if you wait till your children turn 18 and then you're not teaching them how to guard themselves against social media, and then you look up and say, okay, 19 years old, you can't, they get 12 and say, in their head, they're grown. But if you start while you still have that parental authority, and you watch what they're doing, and, just kind of guard against it, man, it's a way to do it. I know when we had one of the storms here, Greg, and the electrical was out. This goes back some years.
Yeah.
And my kids was walking around the house, and we realized, and they realized, hey, y'all got to talk. Y'all got to talk to us. No internet.
I remember that.
you remember
Yeah.
And so occasionally, man, I might unplug the router just to get their attention.
Just to get their attention, man. We got to talk here today. Yeah. No internet, nothing. We got to talk. So
You're right. Greg, man, something else, and I know we got good 15 minutes, but Greg, Dallas Cowboy legend.
Mm.
And also a legend over there where do they still have a football team? I know people gonna get mad. Hey,
let them get mad.
Hey,
let them get mad.
Do they still have a football team over there? But Florida Gators legend Emmitt Smith.
Yeah.
He sounded off this weekend, I think it was.
Yeah. Last week or week before last, the University of Florida basically shut down its DEI department, and DEI is diversity, equity, inclusion. And diversity, equity, inclusion is for some folks it's code word for what's the word I'm looking for, Brother Love?
Like more minority set aside, or
I don't want to say affirmative action, but yeah, I mean something along those lines. But it's basically something where it levels the playing field to some, so to speak. But here in the state of Florida, the Florida legislature passed a bill that basically said that DEI programs were no longer permitted, and that they could not funnel monies to programs. And I just want to make sure I get this right. But the state university may not expend any state or federal funds to promote, support, or maintain any programs on campuses that violate Section 1000.05 Florida statutes, advocating for what it defines as diversity, equity, and inclusion, or promote or engage in what it defines as political or social activism. And so, after the George Floyd unfortunate incident with George Floyd, there were a lot of organizations that popped up and a lot of groups that came together. Black Lives Matter was one, and there were a number of other groups that came together just to point out some of the issues that are taking place in the African-American community. And I think that was positive. And I still think that it is positive that for our young people to come together and stand on issues that they feel are not right and are inappropriate. The problem came in, however, Brother Love, when certain organizations took money to the tune of, I think, $26 million for one organization. I think that's what, Black Lives Matter in California, where the leaders, I think they built were living in a $2 million home or something like that, using the funds for Black Lives Matter. But that's where the issue came in, is where, the leaders of these organizations were supposed to be doing things that help the African-American community and things, or address issues taking place in the African-American community, particularly as it related to programs, getting our young people off of the streets, giving them positive things to do. But under the umbrella of their existence, things never got better. And so what it kind of pointed to is that these organizations were getting money and not pouring back into the community. And so to some respect, and I'm speculating right now, to some respect, I believe that, political figures saw that these organizations were causing or, making a lot of noise, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but they were making a lot of noise, but they weren't being productive in the noise that they were making. And so because of that, they have said that the DEI programs should be shut down. Now, listen, I don't necessarily agree with that because, coming up at Florida State, where I went to law school, we had the Black Students Association, Black Student Law Association, BALSA. Even in going to law school, the scholarship program that I was a part of was called, what was it called? Minority Participation in Legal Education, whatever it was. But it was money set aside for minorities so that they could go to school and get scholarships so that they can, improve their lives. It was an equity-based, not equality, but equity-based program. And so I think that certain equity-based programs and inclusive programs have a place where you have individuals, like what we were talking about last week, who don't even see the necessity and benefit of African American History Month. There are organizations, there are companies, there are employers, there are educational institutions who don't see the benefit of including all individuals. And so I don't necessarily have or see the issue with that. And so to Emmett Smith's point, what he was saying is that by shutting down these departments, what they're doing is they are not allowing organizations to have a voice in inclusion and equity and diversifying their campus experience, is what I'm think he's saying.
And so he sounded off this weekend, but then I also saw too where I think UCF did the same thing.
Well, all schools have to do it. Think about it. All schools now have to
It's
do
tied
this.
to their funding.
Right. Yeah. They're required to do this now. And I hope it does not have an effect on minorities. And when I say minorities, Brother Love, I'm not just speaking specifically of Black folks, of African Americans. I'm talking about our Hispanic brothers and sisters. I'm talking about our Asian American brothers and sisters. I'm talking about our Pacific American brothers and sisters, and on certain campuses, I'm talking about our white brothers and sisters. I mean, because on certain campuses, non-Black folks, white people are considered to be minorities on certain campuses. And so, to that extent, as long as it is used and spread across the board the way that it's supposed to, I have no issue with it.
Well, hey, like I said, man, a Cowboy legend spoke up this weekend.
Yeah. So, I mean, but, we'll see where it goes. I don't think that it's going to change anything as it relates to this legislative. Well, the legislative
ends this Friday.
Yeah, it ends this Friday.
Yeah,
so it ain't going to change nothing.
Ends this Friday.
Yeah.
Greg, one of the other things, man, and I'm going to transition, make a hard turn, man. I'm just willing this golf cart.
Yeah, man, you knocking everybody out the
knocking
golf
everybody. Two things. One, I don't know if you saw it where Tyler Perry, he put and Doc Polite, we talked about this a little bit. I don't know if it was a $100 million studio engagement purchase that he was about to make, because the technology with AI and Chat GPT has evolved so much, it made him pump the brakes from the standpoint of, do you really put that amount of money in a physical plant when you can bring to realization what you want your audience to see through AI, where you don't have to really have a tangible studio?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a question for not just the entertainment industry, but for a lot of industries. What I found interesting, Brother Love, I don't know if you've seen the movie The Marvels.
Was that with the three women? Yeah.
So, Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, which is the young girl, and then the other young lady who played on Survivor's Remorse, which I bet nobody remembers that movie. That was one of the movies that LeBron James produced that was on Starz. Actually a decent movie. And so at the end of that movie, Brother Love, or like the little clips that Marvel will do at the end of a movie, it showed Beast. And the Beast that it showed was the old Beast from the X-Men, from the old not the old X-Men movie, but the first X-Men movies when Beast was Kelsey Grammer. And the Beast looked like Kelsey Grammer, but it was not Kelsey Grammer. It was the AI form of Kelsey Grammer.
So it generated.
Yeah. And so it was him, and they put credit in the film credits as it being him. But now just think about now, you can take Kelsey Grammer's likeness and image just as long as he agrees to it. There are no more scheduling conflicts that he has with they're having to shoot another movie or be someplace else or shooting a television show and things like that. But how many other people or what effect is it going to have on working actors to continue to have those things?
Working actors, production hands, the whole. But Greg, part of the strike. One of the components of the strike was the prohibition against using AI.
Well, yeah, without giving proper credit to the actors. But again, think about it.
I think what's going to happen is artists are going to realize the value of their image and likeness, and because they can license it, now it opens up another avenue to license their license to maybe corporations.
For those of you who watch, For those of you who are watching LTN Network that may not, because we got to continue to connect the audio, but Doc Polite was saying that actors and a lot of the folk that normally would get credit for a traditional movie taking place, now they're going to realize the value of getting credit. And when we say credit, Greg, basically we also talking about getting compensated.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, if they get points in the movie, they get more compensation. But and that's what I'm saying. I mean, you no longer have to worry about scheduling conflicts and different things like that because the actor can be in multiple places at one time. But here's the bigger issue: not just the actors, but what happens to the supporting cast.
Correct.
That like the grip guys, the stunt men.
You're eliminating the economy and the industry out there.
Yeah. I mean, so you may be able to do a whole movie with 10 people when before it would have taken 40 or 50 people. And that's, 40 or 50 jobs that are no longer available. So what's going to happen to the, to the not well-known actors under this new AI system? So.
Well, everybody doesn't have to go. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. But I want to change the subject right quick. We almost off the air. And Greg, I found something this weekend.
What is that?
I found something this weekend that that surprised me. Right? You know how you think you know your friends real good?
Yeah, like Stevie Wonder and the drummer.
Oh, you saw that?
Stevie Wonder and the drummer. Well, now somebody got to clue me in.
I got the video on my page, and it tells a story, Rod, about Stevie Wonder. Ray Parker tells a story about Stevie Wonder.
Doc, we hear some music coming through. You playing some music?
I'm playing that because y'all get me off target here, but I want to share this with my friend Greg because he's gonna get a kick out of this. Look what I found.
Now, Doc, you know you got everybody curious because people on LTN Network can't see what we see.
Well,
I saw what you just put up there.
What do you got up there?
Doc, you something else.
hey, imagine my surprise.
Hey,
so we're gonna have a dance off.
Hey, so Doc, how many views did it get though?
Oh, it's got quite a few. Got quite a few on TikTok.
Man, my nephews.
They wanted to see an old man.
Oh, he didn't call you old, did he?
Yeah, he did. He just called me old.
Did
he
he?
just called me
man,
old.
He cut you deep, brother.
Hey, but you know what, Greg? I was in rhythm against my nephews, man, and they were off rhythm. So yeah. All right, Doc, you got me. That's a good one. But
hey,
man,
but, kudos to you because you're moving.
Yeah.
You look good. You look good.
Yeah,
so
okay.
You be cutting the rug at the prom.
Yeah. He just getting his practice in. He getting the warm up in.
Listen,
hey, Doc snuck one in on me. Hey, Greg,
that's funny.
I was
on my way to a wedding, and my nephews, they said, Uncle Rod, you can't do this, and they went to a TikTok, and I kept saying, no, I can't do that. I can't do that, and then I saw something. I said, I could do that, and we had the challenge, and I beat him. I beat him. So that's what Doc trying to rub in. You got me, man. Doc.
I'm about to go back and see that one. That's on your page still?
That's on. Yeah, he's on my page.
I'm gonna have to go check that
Doc
out.
got me. Doc got me.
I got to check that out.
But great, man. So, man, what is coming up, man? I know we winding down. What's anything? We got an election, March 19th.
Got March 9th election. That's something we'll be talking a little bit more about next week. And then we also have a forum that's coming up in Apopka as well.
Next Tuesday, it will be located at the Oasis Church, Let's Talk Nation.
On Sheila Road.
On Sheila Road. We are hosting, and
The wonderful, beautiful, the incomparable Miss
Monica May
is going to be moderating.
man, and you know what? Just incredible, man.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible. So we want to go ahead and extend to all of the candidates invitation to come out so that the community knows what you represent.
That's right. That's right. And I mean, this is an important time because the election is going to be, again, as Brother Love said, on the 19th of March. And this is a chance for the candidates for folks to hear from themselves, from the candidate. You know, a lot of times candidates will rely on other people to speak for them or to speak about them. You know, this is a chance for you to speak for yourself and to let people see who you are. So I hope that the candidates take this as a serious opportunity to come out. Oasis Church, once again, Pastor Barrios, off of Sheila Road, you know, to come and to share your vision and your thoughts about, serving.
From 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m.
That's right.
Come on out and, don't be afraid to write your question on one of the question cards and just find out from, the candidates yourself. What do they represent and how are they going to make your life much better?
Speaking of represent, Brother Love, before we get off, we only have like a minute or so left, so I could probably say this in 30 seconds. Just recently, last week, Oprah and Weight Watchers cut ties. And the reason being, she was on the board. I think they gave her 10% of the company I think she had stocks worth $18 million. But Oprah Winfrey was found to be in violation of her contract with Weight Watchers because as opposed to using the Weight Watcher method, which is the food-based method, it came out, whether she admitted it or she was found out, that Oprah Winfrey was actually using a weight loss drug in order to keep her weight down. So she has had to turn, and she said she's going to take her $18 million worth of stock and donate them to an organization.
So basically, Greg, she violated the terms of a condition of an endorsement, really.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if you're a part of Weight Watchers and, you're out there telling people, hey, eat Weight Watchers and do all of this other stuff because it helps me to keep my weight down, but then somebody see you coming out of the clinic getting shots and you losing weight, that's going to be a real problem.
It's sort of cheating a different kind of way.
Yeah, that's cheating.
Hey, Greg, next week, man, people really want you to kind of talk a little bit about NIL because that thing is becoming a major issue in college sports.
Yeah, what they need to do is if they have someone in that that's trying to get involved, they need to have them to come and sit down and talk to us and get that headshot and get the video done. That's what they need to do.
Hey, on that note, brother, you're absolutely correct. But, hey, Brother Jackson, you do not have to go home.
But you got to get out of here.
Until next Monday on Let's Talk Nation, hey, come join us so that we can have a conversation.